adopting the season consciousness, which deconstructs binaries that justify balance under bodies in the borderline at the intersection of sexuality and race. From lesson 12. The numerous season is the record of becoming states, binary reconciliation, the shifting contradiction of the dialectic, pushing to static synthesis. Ontology of the numerous season is cognitively agile and animated by the equivalence of patterns with respect to the inclusion of issues. Prefer 1. Pedagogy, gender implications of reasoning, facts, balance, scope, analyzing, examination of war scenarios being judged to prioritize gender analysis files. Talk 4. Gender representing academic work system and not analyzing masculine and hegemony over feminine equal asserted inferiors and alien masculinity or associates by an separate from large sources in the US society without exception those from understanding representing balance and black and scope women black and Bulgarian spoken masculinity militarism correlations of gender are absent from discourse and gender differentiation of male power live on. 2. This is the season approach to debate fosters methods of social participation which spill over. Mirror 20. Terms of contracts based on material metaphorical power dynamics that a critical examination students will continue to be excluded and they don't plug each transform literacy students about developing matching models of democratic dialogue, community building, non-vision, moving barriers, participation, encourage members versus their necessary diversity of perspectives. 3 said the borderlands are inevitable, the only question is endurance or cruel hope. Rodriguez 11. Capacity to see meaning and deep realities to rise out of existential litigation, working on ontological condition on these conditionalities, the parties, struggle, liberation, high ownership, and rules based between both the borderlands and the strategies, open matters, essentially the dealing colonial power trace, structural between modernity and coloniality, race, corresponding constitution, destabilize the European paradigm. I can have the United States often substantially reduces military presence in the West Asian North Africa region. Convention 1 is heteromasculinity. 1. U.S. eventually exacerbates insecurity and violence human rights, the sense of international patriarchy. 23. U.S. themselves doing the opposite. U.S. presence exacerbates insecurity, moving killed by security, exact not unknown. U.S. stability makes U.S. violated international humanitarian law. U.S. mission staggered deaths, white side obstruction, increasing terrorism, rolling wars, everything, hopes, democracy, authority, freedom, and human rights. 2. Is that militarism and trans hypermasculinity is essential to American identity and the preservation of the state. This creates cycles of normalized overkill by elevating heteronormative practices to and values to be worth killing for. 12. Pre-operation service members volunteer permission to prove the masculinity, the masculinity that I prefer achieving status of women, gender style within a woman between body structure and the laws of military masculinity, including transmission belief about where the masculinity remains consistently puts non words, a masculine said by not being awkward and emotional military is motivated, certain crimes survived by force limited body traits and frames of binary opposition, masculine, feminine, victor, shape, career, the relationship between gender and authenticity, and the separate consolidation, military masculinity, the soldier will become an element of the state. 3 is that the military will always persecute the queer body to feed itself, violence and sexual harassment are used as a means of control and persecution, normalizing overkill to keep the U.S. military strong and healthy, the homonormative bargain gaslights for people into thinking why gay liberation is enough. Panel 22. The U.S. military historically relied on the practice of male sexual social domination, women feminized other military policies, gender sexual institution normalizes forms of violence, sexual activity, dysfunction, social control, absence of formal control mechanism, compels service, close security, and presentation of homonormative arguments with the customary virtues, that's some level of heteronormativity, including anti-LGBT sexual harassment, assault, destructive necessary remains the gender and sexual status quo, and gender non-normativity is thoroughly exists in the match period, the homosexual gender non-conformity, dangerous homonormativity, encouraged some phobia. This convention of reconciliation legislation in recent years is the byproduct of this. The 17-year-olds being very much understanding suicide, so is the authority military was connected into heteromasculinity, is constructed to phobia, and the military institution and diagnosis relation to cornerstones of LGBTs and contain any components or homo or artists, not otherwise, but in the heteromasculine culture, the military institution transforms themselves or rewrites that heterosis normativity. 4 is that the military was engaged in a form of pink washing that creates a guise of sexual freedom to cover gender violence and discrimination. Idiot 17. Conditional courts layers of around outside of the United States and digital collaborative states most game from the directions homosexuality means market for the sovereign capacity of the state and justification for the balance of actively developing much form of internal conversation, switching the creation of solidarities, pressure on toward anti-creation purposes, races, civilizating black Jewish against their open much centralized about with the political regulation of sexuality. 5 is that spiritual assaults are equally supported as material assaults to the oppressed, the impact of genocide. Books 2000. These are essential material needs to work versus some of the leverage can live a good life despite material hardship that will correlate to more non-material possession due to the leading to struggles from psychogenocide. Convention 6, homo nationalism 1. Borderlands of permanent zones of exception where the state propagates violence as it will, shows away. The state of exception occurs when someone suspends private state against somebody who can life around political irrelevance, or empire operates through the edge of the state, make a decision to target a few particular individuals. To the exception 2 is that empire operates through worldwide public support, U.S. military presence enables a genocide. I 23. Israel's engaging in genocide, Palestinian people turning Gaza into the sponsor and indiscriminately killing Palestinians, permanently expelling Palestinians who live. Their genocide happens to mass support elements of needed infrastructure material capabilities used has 10 aircraft carriers useful in agreements full force because USA that's already carried a genocide of the world must withdraw participation in the system majority colonization. 3 is that the impact is homo nationalism, a form of sexual exceptionalism that expels racial and sexual others from American empire. That's part 7. Segregation and disqualification of racial and sexual corresponds to the American empire. The regulatory scripture compared to the global non necessity why is simultaneous to generating and disavowal the population of sexual racial others descend the project of U.S. nationalism and really endeavor to the world entirely intricability of British by political arrangement of life and death. 4 those who are pushed and famine in the borderlands face psychological honesty to heteronormativity that results in socially and culturally accepted forms of soul murder. 3. There's no deviation from the heteronormative standard of hate serving regulation enforcement are carried out by the individuals themselves socially endorsed culturally accepted forms of soul murder. Soul murder is the deliberate temporary compromise is what identity another person instance placing enforcement either deliberately or unconscious with self and others. 5 is that homo nationalism compels populations that are already controlled and killed to extinction. 7. Home nationalism is a mechanism by which British forces are reducing the national subjects on themselves, use imperial interests from religion and first, ultimately, part of the population interesting to the suppression of British religion, war torture, security, death, and by political management, last summer toward death by politics, not only which crews of inevitable shockers of the United States entry by British political organization, life partnerships, and the secret to death, the economic marches of Chris of which normalizing the DVCs and the road management life. What is the happy 1 theory and organization that could even be some notice check visa one of the chocolate to deter visa organization two forces in the field of country in terms of zero the is arbitrary no extension of equal to the right high seven around the one area short people recommend using cover presidencies and no true number of theory organizer reconstruction to make hold of arguments that 206 meters following half the time these education is a voter is controls the internal debate system in the first place also educational games that ease that fairness of voter is the game of the winner and loser all the promoters for winning in fairness is a means for fulfilling the I'm good for cross.
Okay. No independent reasons to reject the team, right? Or independently affirm.
No.
Okay. The contention you cited broader structures like homo-nationalism that impacts gender violence. How does solely reducing military presence in WANA solve any of your impacts?
Yeah, sure. So it's named homo-nationalism, which is a broad structure, but the actual cards are very specific to the WANA region. The IS evidence is very specific to how an empire in Israel is operating to commit genocide against Palestinian people. Obviously, removing presence from Israel is
okay. Actually, let's break down those cards. Let's talk about when I see Belkin. It talks about gender military roles that prove masculinity because people are like, hey, either I die in the war to prove I'm masculine or I just don't volunteer. How is this about West Asia and North Africa?
I mean, I would say that's like a very big generalization of what the card says. The card is talking about pre-operative transfer summary specifically and how missions like in WANA are going to be something that like people like independently go on missions, but also the justification of the first card.
So to clarify, missions like WANA, it is not about WANA missions specifically.
The card is saying that if we reduce like the military presence in WANA, that still gets rid of like heteronormativity that is being like.
Okay, so military presence in every other continent in the world that is not WANA, that cannot solve for, correct?
It's not that we can't solve for it. It's just that it's like not the resolutional burden.
It's not it's not the resolutional burden. So I assume that you critique structures of broader military presence being bad.
The 1AC is the step to other things like getting rid of heteronormativity in structures outside of just WANA itself. But obviously, like if I were to do that, or like the first contention, right, is more than just the Balkan evidence. But the Balkan evidence specifically is setting up kind of a justification for why things in the military are enshrined in hypermasculinity. The rest of the evidence does like talk specifically, like more specifically, especially like the Median evidence that talks about how United States and Israel as collaborators is specific to WANA.
Actually, I'm confused. The affirmative does not get rid of the military by any means, not even in the West Asia, North Africa.
The affirmative isn't making an argument to abolish the military. It's saying
The app doesn't get rid of the military. You've cited a plan text that is, we solely reduce presence in the WANA region, which means that because you withdraw from the region, that is the action and the mandate of the plan text. Like, I don't understand. Why is pink washing solved in the context of just reducing presence, not getting rid of it?
Because the Median evidence is very specific to United States and Israel as collaborators. It's the second line in the card.
The United States and Israel as collaborators, the U.S. has expressed very big commitments about how they will never support Israel in things like genocide. I guess, why does the app solve this just by reducing?
I mean, we can have the debate if like the 1NC wants to say that like the U.S. doesn't support Israel, then we can go for that. But the argument is that like they do, and we made the claim in the 1NC this is that they do, and that enshrines hypermasculinity within the WANA region and within like those kinds of missions in Israel specifically, which is why we should withdraw like the troops from the region.
Okay, I guess that's fine. The framework, I guess, how do you garner offense off of it? Is it like you garner offense off of the field implementation of the plan only, or off of other things like the method?
What do you mean? Like we get pre-field offense, so that's your question.
Okay, cool. I'll set the doc. Order is for the case. Case will be the framing and then the like image or contentions, whatever you call it.
Okay.
It's can I understand?
Yeah. You can change the title.
the operation with patrol, which chaos, as a shared collaborative arrangement, SCF, and Syria, being IS, and studies for Lister 23, and use in a sense of rolling kit, taking ISIS, getting connected, also permitting ISIS attack down for 37 to 80%, leaving Syria would be permanent and effective, every single access into James transfer, responsibilities, actors of failure, or refusal, the whole will from Iraq, and led to resurgence, exit, and second chances, and the Sultan is, instability forces, re-engagement, red safety, and the think that the U.S. can disengage with the homes of resurgence, and some key of terrorist organizations, these withdrawals are followed by peace re-engagement, after Iraq, the state collapse, ISIS, resurgence, and Mercury, some of the leader, and for Russia, second wave, and withdrawal causes overpressure, and defense rapid resurgence, and rapid 723, is only second strong governance rate, is healthy, able to occupy territory, and governance, activity occurred at 9 as under-reporting claimed direct after Howard and Fifth, the war, little there, and needs to believe Europe, so and actually is, and use key in the fight, escape, withdrawals from religions, and so on the law, ISPEC, advantage government's operations, legal charges, and 70% of fighters based on areas of substitution with the SUS and corporate IS, take advantage of U.S. withdrawal, the group of research with the air resurgence, almost into severe arterial extinction, the over 2020 is globalized, relevant, estimated possibilities of nuclear high mountain, and terror of certain emerged ample, instead of receiving our answer, exists from vision to globalization, Shahada Shamas, WMDs, weapons by ISIS with Iraq and Syria, extend like this after the allies, and secure and confident, and the Middle East is never having weapons or material, and household materials only was stolen and acceptable to the market, every 18 reductions to nuclear material, 25 countries would have 25 killer HEU, the Russian bomb relics, and the Cold War in Eastern Europe represent a high security of 130 nuclear practice part of the HEU, and over 40 countries that have still hundreds of bombs is vulnerable, and that turns case, even from sorrow and helmet and 15, and girls can have access to this crisis for US slaves use, the use of religion to justify rape efforts, and needed to be backed by military forces, victims of exchange in their own commitments, communities. Now, the next law, counterparts the United States also require compliance with the AIHL, and with all military presence in the West Asian North Africa region, and secret strikes in civilian areas, and attracting everyone to the military plan 1 law. That's when I take Raleigh 23 US claims. No, I'm sorry, when I take Raleigh 23, there are the US secret interests, international humanitarian law, and all clauses about them. It's about wars in general. People can opt out, not about one that we solve because it's about people in wars, but they can opt out. Also solves all of humanity if it doesn't, nor can they because they don't access broader structural reform. Now, the next up, no one here theory to work persistent of the theory nor institutes which are contrary will be negative either you accept two responses or you intervene making it irresolvable conditionalities good to the effects and testing specific original links otherwise when people speak debate impossible and partially steps and reduce take time to be inevitable. Now, the framing first, the will of the voters such a the plan is a good idea. I think it was a self-serving, arbitrary, and particularly non-resolution they can't access and they don't access any of their offense off of assumptions because that is a bad model. Destroys negative ground is unpredictable. They're not only to ask never talk about the topic and can't access our skill, no such information, no preview offense, limiting all causes, school, friends, family, religion, all three determiners are to with far always impacts the debate even then. Depending on incentives over determination people take losses as technical errors, not something wrong with their mindset. One will not result in debate changing and being less exclusive framework turns this allowing assumptions to be offense, at least more solution underneath research because it becomes impossible to predict what they have to possibly defend. Compare opportunity causes prerequisite for clashing engagement, fair for courage, fair must include the comparison, evaluation, or acceleration, contribute to critiquing by ensuring arts, are considered in criticism, argumentation of policies, not external analysis, such as investment systems, were effective, and only description of the procedure, impartiality, to filter conclusions out of house of questioning, tests, and a lot of consequences, and framework can accommodate ethical questions within order, and individuals and perspectives, and skip to the extinction of ways, and death is global, people here, verse 1, a flow for value, moral, three news, always right, always wrong, no matter presence of frame, just like universal, non-consensual death is tautological, and totalizing to say otherwise, and it's kind of overly distinct originally, and process of universal, and non-human means, all of is like necessary to treat with screening, then radical lack of assumption, and things show me too easy, including the humanity wants to treat with their conceit universality of the future awareness of all living human beings who are source and continue universality, there's preserved the addressing universality of all the and alongside the implementation of apocalypse. Now, the advantage of properly can also any of their scenarios, they're all closest to every single one of them. Carnegie is about Africa and Somalia, which are not in the West Asian North Africa region. Sure, the US may do something bad, but it's not something the plan can resolve. Balkan 12, even if they are right, no militarism, that was zero solvency. Okay, that fully out of one spills out to militarism writ large, and they say that Jumbo Fiat, that's my idea, which is voting trees, this huge government along the after Fiat, and distance makes being negative and possible. Corral 22, the act does not get rid of the military, it just makes you withdraw from one region, doesn't mean the military, it doesn't do violence elsewhere, especially when you have not read evidence that it's in context of law and pinkwashing. The act doesn't solve for Israeli violence, and an advocate for Israel just ceases to exist post-plan. They would still be violent if they're being violent now. Hooks, they can also solve any spiritual violence, especially when the evidence is just about poor people. That was above. Now, advantage 2, the Jones evidence more than something much broader structural causes, which was done above. They can't solve your authority denounce support for Israel and Israel acts independently. Again, the plan does not get rid of Israel. All causes the rest of the cards. Marginalization is inevitable, absent underneath the plan. And there's broader structures like the empire, which obviously the act doesn't do. They don't solve all the wars, so to become helps Jenkins of 14 soldier transition into law enforcement, and criminal all of civil rights from the streets and government of the city, also the U.S. veterans and governments, and the fire presence is military government, veterans, police officers, and police brutality, presence, goes back to our operations to the CIA, temporary missions, and private contractors, in the October 10, when involvement continues to withdraw your strict military presence, is expanding its aspirations into the main, and also these involved forms being hollow, withdraw from all troops, and this is executed CIA, training the intelligence, government organization operations are being carried over private contractors, will be used, the rules of engagement, and which all these to shift and smaller than the crowd, and bases of authoritarian regimes, Can I just tell you what I didn't read? It wasn't that much.
Sure.
Okay, didn't read the last 2 cards on case. Cut the Vine evidence from population centers.
Okay.
And then on the framework part, I didn't read, so Byman or Lantis. And I didn't read the Grunwald card, but I read the tag.
Okay.
And didn't read Veil. And then I'm pretty sure I read everything else.
Okay. Good for cross.
Yep.
If the app wins like the mirror evidence, then the all causes about things at school, right? Like if the app wins, the pre-fiat means the school creates more organizations with like multilingual organizations based out of the school. How does that not resolve the all causes?
I'm confused on how that answers it. Like, our argument is that singular debate rounds can never overcome subjectivity shifts. When a debater loses a round, they're never like, wow, I just learned about the literature of the app, that's so cool. They're like, oh shoot, I just got screwed so badly by this judge. They write better blocks to advantages, and nothing can spill out in a singular debate round. That is our argument. Also, people's subjectivity are shifted by schools, religions, and alternative things that, again,
yeah, that makes sense. But if we shift the way that the school operates, then why would why would their opinions not already be shifted?
The app cannot shift the way schools operate. You solely affirm a plan text of reducing presence.
Yeah.
You cannot
So
solve
on the counterclaim,
okay.
which is like the records of these secret US airstrikes, I guess how is that specific to resolving things like heteronormativity when it's just talking about something like it's talking about civilian death toll is a result of like secret US airstrikes? I guess how does that solve the app?
Well, it solves the impacts of the app, which we've read justifications for why you should only evaluate the consequences of implementing the app.
Okay, sure. I guess how is ending secret secret strikes any different than like reducing military presence?
Well, those are 2 completely functionally and textually distinct policies. Reducing presence means physically withdrawing US troops. Ending strikes in civilian areas is just like, oh yeah, the troops can stay, but we just cannot strike civilians. Like, those are very different, and Perm do both will link to the net benefit because it reduces presence.
Okay, sure. I guess like, or actually, no, that's fine. On the argument, like on case about how it's specific to like AFRICOM, I guess like in the evidence, where's it specific to AFRICOM and like nothing else in the like. Okay.
The Carabelli, sorry, I don't know if I'm saying that right, evidence. Search Somalia in the text. It is about why presence in Somalia is bad. That is not part of the West Asia, North Africa region, which means that either like reducing presence in WANA cannot solve any of the arguments, and these are just all causes.
Okay, sure. The rest of the evidence, like talking about how it's specific to Israel, like Palestine, I guess why is that not enough for it to like still be on?
Specific to Israel and Palestine. Again, you've read evidence that like Israel is genociding Palestine. The plan cannot get rid of Israel. You've not read an argument that's like, get rid of Israel. Like,
okay,
the plan can't resolve that. Reducing presence cannot do anything to stop Israel from, striking Palestine.
Okay, sure. On like the rescissions counterclaim, or actually, no, that's fine. I'm gonna run with it. or use? I'm messing that up. It's gonna be case for the offs.
Sorry, you just said case.
Order of the offs.
Okay.
ASPEC will just be empty.
Okay. On case, is it framework than advantage? Or like than contention?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a doc?
Yeah, it's I think I'm both good.
I just thought I would.
Okay. I am. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm good.
Extend the sentiment of cease of consciousness, state of mind that moves away from matters which introduce themselves at the top of your belt. We're going to go over the 3 and the 4 point preferring. One is the 3 points that we're ready to pick up. Mirror proves that our engagement with season literature has created material change. So when they say things like so much information are true, it's not actually empirical because it can't provide the evidence. The mirror evidence is very specific about how in the debate liberation league there has been multilingual organizations that have been created because of literature being read in debate, which means all their evidence is both like all their arguments are both contrary to what actual evidence says, but also a reason as to why you shouldn't use some information arguments because we prove that we can change the way in which schools operate by creating multilingual organizations based off of the schools, which means that those all causes that they highlight are things that we can influence because of debate rounds. There's a reason to be voting affirmative on a preview level. We have the only expert method. Fourth, that they concede the Rodriguez evidence that extent that borderlands are never allowed to offer everyone's first standing capacity because we need the mindset in order to destabilize serious and credit. I mean, our was key to even understanding their things like extinction are still like rooted in the way that we kind of engage in these kind of conversations. You're still voting affirmative as far as borderlands are inevitable, and they did not do any work on that. They say that borderlands are very broad, but that doesn't actually give it the inevitability of the board, the way that the 1AC actually operates in the by the framework. The advantages, I skipped a card. The first one is the second contention is a criticism of settlement of militarization as means to reject settler colonialism. They say that the U.S. is supporting Israel. That's obviously not true. U.S. militarization or wanted colonialism as A, it's a structural process to uphold the desire for future access inevitable structural drive towards native Palestinians and choose the militarization or wanted the form explained the 1AC directly is killing Palestinians, which is obviously bad. They started to get rid of they started like say the evidence is specific to the resolution, but no, the actual evidence is very specific to how the genocide in Israel is going against Palestinians. Obviously removing military presence in Israel is going to be able to get rid of like that kind of offense on the counterclaim. One part of the plan is the result of the economic process. One is the self-centered benefits, since Congress already agrees. No internal the internal links about how follow on. Someone perception of the card 0, ISIS intent, and then B point is that doesn't sever certainties to the firm. O is the plan, and 2 say counterplans is solely can be done from BBC are bad history. By allowing the plan, the Judah plan a day later was done unable to that firm. We both plan the United States office essentially reduce military presence in Israel and propose to change sexually legitimate and mostly intrinsic firms are good limited intrinsicness like through the word and account has limited test. The net benefit isn't to bring to the app and nuclear firms to do the process over the other issues preserve predictability on the 3 point. They can't solve these issues are already that means it costs money for them to bring them back and 4 points that power reverse fails. It doesn't effectively give train is legally binding. This name is 18. Appropriations that are legally binding. These give mass discussion contingency funds. We're just expanding the chips where authority given. The executive power thresholds. Consider reprogram the committee knowledge to like carry on on funded security objectives. For example, the long-term basis bombing Cambodia and Congress is that influencing how like funds are used. Members are only going to have political rights versus transform into effective rights was political tool. They are unable to keep changing the dog war on the terror. Is that? Military presence center counterterrorism is counterproductive as strong government 17. The war on terror has been a failure of like offensive CTF, no connection to terrorism in the US and has not ensured Al-Qaeda is obviously nor made a diminishing underlying condition given the rise to terrorism and ongoing presence radicalize and motivate jihadists using presence as justification for terrorism. The number of Islamists fired terrorists reaching the Middle East has skyrocketed and invasion training chaos, allowing terrorists more room to operate, generating anger representative from the United States using jihadist recruiting. That means it's going to like just kind of turn like the plan solves. They just I'm not going to read the second third part on the other counterplan. The counterplan doesn't solve. The counterplan is about secret strikes in Somalia, which they said themselves isn't one, which means they're both conceding the first advantage. It isn't probable that the reason drop the counterplan on the permanent will be it's not mutually exclusive. The first advantage is probable, and that's their counter. The argument is that when they re-highlight those secret airstrikes are about in Somalia during the Trump administration is obviously different, but also they're specified stats on the counterplan is voting issue for China. See if you wait, the states that are losing parties and see which is government is prep. I don't know if that should go for case out, so we do key inclusion and big business, like new invaders are going or like let's like it as or across and then on like the 1 year theory stuff. Yes, whenever they conceded the entirety of it, maybe they say broad general against his norm, I think they say true or persuasive, that's not a reason. Every speech is supposed to be persuasive, that's point of debate, neither. They say either accept neutral response or you if you make any resolvable no. They didn't make any arguments about why they get true and responses recontextualizations, means that they shouldn't be able to kind of make the argument about how true and response is going to be new because they don't get the true and like arguments and recontextualizations means that true. They are just going to be an extension of the one year and the other, which is obviously still good. And then that means like yes, we get the three like the theory they say no 3 and R, that doesn't matter. You can predict the true error 6 3 times q means that they don't get to choose each times q because there's no time trade off. Like they can predict all of them from the other.
Okay. 5 minutes. Reasons to reject the team, just spec status.
Yeah, it was just that.
Okay. Terroristad. Did you just read the first card?
Yeah.
Okay. Other analytics on it?
There was just like out solves, like withdrawal solves. It was just like said after the card.
I got plan solves the DA. I didn't catch the word. What was it?
It was just that, like it was just that. It was like military presence there creates more, so plan solves reduces.
Military presence creates more like resurgence. Okay, cool. Also, to be clear, on the advantage counterclaim, you said you're kicking out of the first contention, right?
It was just saying that the part in the, like the part that you re-highlight from the first contention is in Somalia, which isn't mono, so it's not mutually exclusive.
Okay. Did you read these answers to ASPEC?
Nope.
Okay. Sorry for asking so many questions, but spec status, what was the text of the interp? Debaters must specify the status in the voting series.
It was just voting issue.
Not specing the status is a voting issue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. 2 cards, so I'll just send them. Order is Precisions, Advantage Counter Plan. On the Advantage Counter Plan, I'll answer Spec status, ISIS Resurgence, case. It was sent. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone good. Okay. Precisions, we're not going for perms or just a test of competition, not advocacies. It was conditional, but we'll extend to ASPEC here. The one just didn't answer. I know this argument is not great, but ASPEC they didn't. It's going to preserve negative ground from one of your shipping this, because every court, dissent, counterpoint, etc. is reliant on the last mechanism. Think about it this way: politics, congressional links, PC links, etc. are all reliant on who the actor of the plan is, whether it's done through Congress or branches, etc. I know this argument is not great and you don't want to vote for it, but drop them in the 1 NC, drop them from skewing the NC and reject sort of any permutations. We're not going for the counterpoint, but it doesn't matter. It was implicated or dropped to the debater. True arguments, conceded arguments are true ones. There's no implication, no reasonability on 1 NC theory. It was dropped. The advantage counterpoint. Also not going for the perms are conditional, but the only shell that they've read on this page is spec status, but we meet spec status decisively. Go back to the theory hedge. It says, quote, conditionality is good. Key to negative flexibility in testing specific internal links. Their interpretation is very explicit in FlexPrep that it is not about the specking at the top of the document, which means we specified in the theory hedge. We meet text over spirit. No TR responses. ISIS. The dissent decisively turns and outweighs the case. 1 is magnitude. It's most likely scenario for nuclear expansion because of the CVR and attack, because ISIS has already uniquely evolutive ambitions and wants a global caliphate underneath ideologies. And they are states that they have far less to lose from how they suicide bomb, and if they think it's really greater good for things like recent Moscow attacks, which all of our evidence prices into. Whereas mutually destruction make de-escalation more unlikely. Every step of the affirmative link chain magnitude decisively confirms and outweighs all of their internal links. We've already agreed. We'll win on the case feature that extinction outweighs even a tiny reduction, and winning defense of the case means that even if their scenario is good for solving broader change, but you should frame it through magnitude and time frame, because we are prior die only occurs when we have another day to live to fight for, whereas the plan would immediately trigger extinction. Now, second is time frame. They have been done. The affirmative impacts have been done for years, and their broader structural change, which will win on case, are all causes to all of their scenario, and they lack a clear threshold to how the affirmative is able to solve. But they've independently dropped every piece of evidence that says that the dissent would turn case, because ISIS is empirically resurgence empirically forced the U.S. to recommand to countries like Syria and Iraq, even after we tried drawing down troops, which you should flag on your flow, because this is a circumvention argument, clearly tagged like it in the 1 NC, which means that the U.S. would be forced to re-intervene in the region. They cannot access any of their arguments. No durable field in the 2 are A, reject it. It's anti-educational by letting them duck questions of implementation. B is even if we can take out permanently sanctioned troops, we can deploy PMCs, drone special operations, or utilize arms sales, which they've also conceded on the case page, which would win in a second. Now, the link would answer the 1-year argument for proper. 1 is prison breaks answers the 1-year argument. U.S. forces are the thing stopping ISIS from bringing tens of thousands of fighters out of prisons. They're attempting and failing now because of U.S. forces. Lister says they tried to strike an SDF prison on January 16th, but the breakout has failed because of U.S. military prisons, which means that only U.S. engagement and coordination control cells. Second is the African strokes, a delicate balancing out. The only reason ISIS attacks went down in 2023 was because of U.S. engagement. That's Lister, which is more reason than their evidence prices into current attacks. And it also says that the U.S. must stay in countries like Syria and Iraq for things to stay that way. Prefer empirics when the U.S. withdrew from Iraq in 2012. The U.S. had to re-intervene because ISIS took over. We don't really need to read cards, but then the U.S. the link is immediate U.S. political ISIS code 73. The U.S. freedom ISIS later lies close 95%. Terror, Iraqi terror, basically just something attacks. Even if they don't rearrange the ISIS resurgence, and they need a long-term strategic approach to their re-establish caliphate. Now, the 1 year, the plan solves ISIS resurgence arguments because military presence creates the last resurgence. Where's the warrant? If there was none, then the link directly answers it, and only military presence can stop ISIS from resurgence. Case. We don't really need to win too much on the case page when the 1 year has just not grappled with the 1 and 2 warrants. First, the role of the ballot will do this stuff here. The role of the ballot is to solely determine if the plan is a good idea. They cannot garner profits off of things that are not about the consequence of the plan. They've dropped that it causes unpredictable. The strategy
Yet now, extinction outweighs and decisively outweighs every one of their scenarios. In the scenarios, every justification was dropped. It creates infinite pain, suffering. It is unconceptual to say otherwise. It causes the most amount of categorical death. Everything is irreversible post-extinction, which means that all of their subinformation arguments go away, absent solving for extinction in the first place, because all of them are irrelevant if they change broader subinformation 30 years in the future. It doesn't matter if we're all dead, but prefuel offense, it doesn't matter because plan previous was taken out. Now, the advantage proper will win a ton of all causes to all of their arguments. Now, advantage one, they can all solve for any of their scenarios. The Israeli escalation arguments are just wrong, even if they've not read the card in the 1 year. They don't get rid of the military just because you withdraw from a region. Does not mean violence doesn't exist elsewhere. They don't get rid of Israel or get rid of any of the gendered violence norms. They simply withdraw military presence in the water region. Now, advantage two, they also cannot solve for any of these arguments. They say that they solve settler colonialism. How? By reducing military presence in a single region? That does not make any sense. They cannot solve any of their arguments. They've dropped that the U.S. has already denounced support, and homogenization is inevitable because of broader structures like the empire, which they have critiqued. The Jenkins evidence also says that law enforcement and other levels of government will always just intervene, which means that things like PMCs, drones, etc. will happen post-affirmative, which is decisively worse.
To me, like the ASPEC and the Spec stylers.
ASPEC and Spec stylers.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't do any proper weighing on the theory language because even if the ASPEC was completely conceded, it's not something that you voting for in the round. We'll do like the kind of like weighing on the spec shelf. They say by spec status conditionality is given us. That's another violation of issues that we don't know which of the options conditional problems where they have two potential conditional advocacies. One could be conditional. They could be saying that conduct was good in that context, but having another government that's already conditional, which is the reason they have to specify status of both in the linear taxation. Not going for like the text over spirit, we'll get that result in a second. But the other is that if they expect status is the pinnacle of strategy, then baiting spec status is proof of in-round abuse. They don't have any proof of in-round abuse of ASPEC because they were still able to read something like a conduct that actually changed the actor of the affirmative is obviously good because it gives them ground. But the fact that they have no in-round abuse, which you should be framing winning the theory debate through as far as they don't have any on test spirit and no true responses. First off, you should reject single sentence analytics like these because they have no justification for test spirit other than saying test spirit, which is not the reason for you to actually grant it. It's just an argument they wish they could have spent more time on the two. But second is that yes, true responses because they read new true in our contextualizations and conceded no true in our recontextualizations. Either reason they don't get test spirit or they get answers to it, which means that recontextualization or paradigm and that the one area theory of the data, the highest layer in the realm, like Laura said, the conceded argument is a true argument, which means that the one area theory is the highest layer of the realm. You should be evaluating the entirety of spec status before you get to ASPEC. Even if we're losing ASPEC, any risk of offense on spec status, the risk of in-round reasons, the reason you should be going for it first because it is a complete, it's like drop that one area theory is the highest layer of the realm on spirit over text. Yes, spirit over text, one is class over servicing long interpretation and intuitively false. I mean, two is times we should be expected to define and explain every single word of the inter-report voting issue with theories of shiftiness and sort of definition, church text, any future shiftiness, and also the fact that it was a voting issue, not a specific interpretation is why we get spirit over text because it wasn't a text and interpretation, but rather like a voting issue that they don't expect both the counterclaims on the thing is always bad on the underview. You should extend the conceded underview paradigm issues. That's how you weigh between the shells, and even if we're losing ASPEC, you overcorrect to solve one RSQ first because that's the highest layer and fairness was like conceded shows for their paradigm issues. First, conclusion A is that X controls the internal debate. If we can't negate, you can't want to be that's impossible to evaluate substance in an round because you can't know someone is winning off the advantage off of the skill. And the second is that constitutive evidence and fairness is constitutive of debate. Nothing about deterrence is constitutive of debate because deterrence isn't necessarily going to be used for every single theory model. But fairness is can be used under any theory interpretation, which means that it's obviously better. Which means that you should be resolving procedural issues based on fairness before one's based around deterrence. They say deterrence is good and the entirety of the one and C shell is way too little for them to get the new two in our contextualizations. Insofar as they conceded the entirety of the underview means that even if ASPEC was dropped, you should hold all the offense in ASPEC to you should hold on all the ASPEC offense of what was read in the one and C. Insofar as they conceded no two in our recontextualizations or paradigm issues or any of that argument means that they don't get that justification. And then they conceded that yes, we get one theory and that it is the highest layer of the round, especially in the two and they drop our responses that we do get it based through our persuasiveness is not like a genuine argument or offensive as far as every speech has to be persuasive. The argument you have to accept to your responses when completely conceded coming out of the 1 AR, which means that we're just winning the kind of argument there. If we win any risk of spec status or that not spec status is a voting issue, which we are, and that's a reason to vote for it over ASPEC, even if it's completely conceded, because like Laura said, conceded arguments are true ones, and she conceded that one theory is the highest level.
Good.
Well, I put the ASPEC answers in the doc and then skipped over it all. Can I read a water?